In this lesson, we'll learn how to navigate around our open Photoshop documents. Okay, so if you want to check your project files, I'm working with the Lesson 4 Begin file. And this is the exact same sea turtle we looked at earlier in this course. So this is a document that's open and it's filling my canvas. So now, whenever you're working on a project here in Photoshop, whether it's just a single photograph like this, or if it's a sort of a composition that consists of multiple layers, you need the ability to be able to, one, zoom in and out on the document, as well as pan around the document. Now, there are a couple of different tools that are pivotal to doing just this. So let's go ahead and first talk about zooming in and out. So what you want to do, let's come over here in our tool panel, and we're going to grab this magnifying glass down near the bottom. So we'll go ahead and click on that. This is going to be your zoom tool. Now you can see here that by default there's a plus sign inside the magnifying glass. So I can simply click on my canvas here, or I can click and drag and hold. And you can see we can begin to zoom in on our canvas. Now, we can also come in here and in our control panel up here at the top, we can change this over to zoom out mode. So just click on this button here, and we can do the exact same thing. We can click and drag, or you can dragging it to the left there to zoom out. And I'm actually dragging it to the right to zoom back in. So we can come in here and do both, really regardless of which mode we have this set to. So now, once we're zoomed in on our file, let's see, say we wanted to sort of focus in on this turtle's head. So we're zoomed in, but we need to pan up. Now, we could do that a couple of ways. We could come over here and try and use these scroll bars at the sides and at the bottom to try and center up what we're trying to look at. Or we can use this hand tool right here. You can click on that here, and you can simply just click and drag and pan around your canvas. So now, the zooming in and the panning of your document is so much easier when you're using keyboard shortcuts to do this. So let me just switch to the Move tool again, away from either one of those two tools we just looked at. And I'm going to hold down my space bar, and notice what happens to my cursor. It changes to that little hand tool. So I can quickly and easily just hold the space bar on my keyboard, and we can pan around our document here, just like so. Now, when it comes to zooming in and out on the document, we can actually hold down the Control key on our keyboard as well as the space bar, and we can access the Zoom tool. So you can see with the Zoom tool, I can click and drag left to zoom out, maybe release the Control and pan around, add the Control key again to zoom back in. And you can see how seamless, really, zooming and panning around our document gets when we begin to use the keyboard shortcuts to do just those two things. So we've learned how to zoom in and zoom out. We've learned how to pan the document. Let me show you another place where we can do this. So let's come over and open a panel. And we're going to come to the Window drop-down menu, and we're going to open the Navigator panel. Now, this is going to open a couple of other panels, looks like just the histogram, but let's just focus on our Navigator here. Now, we're going to come over here and grab the corner of this panel, and I want you to see that this panel, it expands, and the preview of our image kind of fits itself to the panel. So we'll go ahead and expand that to there, and notice here that there is kind of this red rectangle. Now, by mousing over this, you'll notice that I switch over to what looks like my Move tool, or rather my hand tool. And we can actually click on this and drag this red rectangle around to change our point of focus on the canvas. So maybe we wanted to work on his flipper down here. We could work on that. Maybe we wanted to get in even closer. We could click here, and we can begin to zoom in. And you'll notice how that red rectangle actually shrinks the closer we are zoomed in. Now, I'm actually zoomed in at 200% right now, and I can tell that in a couple of different, actually 3 different places. You see 200% right here. You see it up here in the Document tab, and you also see it down here in the bottom left-hand corner. So now getting back to 100% is something we could do here, again, just by simply clicking down to 100%, just like so. Let's say we're zoomed at a very high magnification here, just like so. We can quickly do this with a keyboard shortcut simply by hitting Control 1, and that's going to take you back to 100%. Now, I don't use Control 1 as much as I use the keyboard shortcut Control 0, because Control 0 will actually fit whatever size your document is inside your document window. So you can see by fitting this document inside my document window, I'm viewing it at 31.3% magnification. So again, if we wanted to go to 100%, I could just hit Control 1, and we can begin to pan around our document. Now, again, the navigation window is going to recognize kind of what size your document window is. So whether we're at 100%, or whether we are fitted into the window. You'll notice what happens to that red rectangle. So this is some quick ways that we can kind of zoom in and zoom out on our canvas using keyboard shortcuts. But there's one other thing I wanted to show you about sort of navigating around our canvas here. Now, if you're planning on doing any kind of digital painting or anything like that, and you're working here painting onto your canvas, you'll know that if you're a traditional artist and you're painting on a piece of paper or you're drawing on a piece of paper, oftentimes you'll rotate that piece of paper on your desk so that you can get a little better angle at whatever line you're trying to draw. Well, we can actually begin to rotate the canvas here. And let's come over here inside our tool panel, again back down to our hand tool. I want you to notice that there's this little triangle in the lower right hand corner of the hand tool. That means that we can actually click on the hand tool and hold, and there's actually tools that are nested underneath that tool inside the tool panel. So you'll see here there's this rotate view tool. So we can go ahead and select that, and we can begin to rotate our canvas. You see that little compass comes up and it tells you kind of where the top of the canvas is with that red arrow. So we can actually rotate that around. We can actually hold down the Shift key while we're doing it to snap that to certain increments, and that makes it really easy to get your canvas back to its original position here. But this is a really valuable way to navigate the canvas. I use this quite a bit as I'm drawing or I'm painting here inside of Photoshop. So we'll just go ahead and snap that guy back up. Now, if you're having problems rotating your canvas, this does require a graphics card that is OpenGL enabled. So you may want to come over here under the Edit menu and come over here. We'll just go to Preferences and General. Now, this is sort of the master preferences for Photoshop. So if you want to come in here and begin kind of browsing around these, feel free. But this is where a lot of, again, like I said, the master preferences are located. So we're going to come down to Performance. And we're going to look here under Graphics Processor Settings. And you'll notice that I'm using my graphics processor. That's checked. And that's basically enabling OpenGL so that I can do things like rotate my canvas. So if you're not able to rotate your canvas, you might check this option right here. I'll go ahead and cancel out of that. So in this lesson, we've learned how we can zoom in and out on our canvas. We've learned how we can rotate the canvas. And we've also learned how we can pan around our canvas. And I've also showed you some keyboard shortcuts that can make these actions really quick and easy. Now, I would encourage you to practice zooming, panning, even rotating your canvas, because, again, these are things that you're going to be doing all the time if you're working inside of Photoshop. So with that said, I want to go ahead and move on to the next lesson, and we're going to spend a little bit of time learning about resizing a document and resampling a document.